I have been asking you a lot, my clients have been asking you a lot about the sale of buyer's contingency clause, aka the Hubbard Clause.
Yes. Yes, so we called it the Hubbard Clause for years. Now it is the sale of buyer's property addendum. And the goal of that addendum is to set the expectations that a prospective buyer has a house to sell in order to move forward with a new purchase. If he has not sold that property in Cranston yet, and he's gone under contract on the Warwick house, he has to have this addendum. And the benefit of the addendum for the seller is that they're allowed of that Warwick property to continue marketing the home for sale the entire time while Joe is trying to sell his own home simultaneously. And if another offer comes in from a third party that is acceptable to the Warwick sellers, they can actually kick out Joe's offer. So that's known as the kick-out clause. So the kick-out provision can be waived once a new offer comes in. The sellers put the buyer on notice, Joe in this case, hey, we got another offer. Then Joe at that point would have the option of saying, I'm waiving that contingency and securing either evidence that his financial institution is willing to lend to him, despite the fact that he still owns the Cranston property. Or he can provide a purchase and sales agreement demonstrating that he's under contract for that property, or some other, cash money type transaction where he says, hey, I really didn't need it. I was hoping to sell this house first, but under the circumstances, I'm not going to let this other offer come in and take my first priority position. I want to stay as the buyer. In Joe's case, he could identify that the closing for the Warwick purchase is going to be 30 days after he goes under contract to sell his house in Cranston. So instead of putting an arbitrary date where we really don't know if it's realistic or not, these springing contingency provisions give the buyer some protection, and that's one of the main reasons that we see the Hubbard still being used as frequently as we do. Once he does get it sold, like we said, certainly at that point, he just moves forward, all systems a go, and proceeds normally. A distinction to be made that I think is really helpful is that if Joe had contrast, already had his house in Cranston under agreement and then started shopping and went to look for the property in Warwick, at that point, there wouldn't need to be this Hubbard contingency.
No.
So, and that's something that, frankly, I see some newer agents getting tripped up on fairly frequently.
All the time.
Do we still need the Hubbard because Joe still has a house to sell? No. You do want to have some provision language stipulating, though, that the purchase of the house in Warwick is subject to the successful closing of 10 Main Street in Cranston. That language would be sufficient to allow Joe the protection that he needs in order for the closings to happen simultaneously. What is the recommendation? Do you find a place to buy first before you list your current house that you know and love? Or do you sell your home subject to finding a suitable replacement house?
Yeah, no, you list your property because it is a seller's market right now with a very low inventory. So you list it and make it subject to successful purchase and seller finding suitable housing. As the seller, you are wearing the pants in the relationship between buyer and seller, and you are really kind of dictating the market right now. It doesn't mean that things can't be fair for the buyer as well. It just means things are more in the favor of the sellers.